Good morning, and a very happy Bank Holiday Monday. It's Monday the 28th of August 2023, and I'm standing in front of Brun Clough Reservoir. And the views I'm getting, I'm looking over towards Upper Mill and beyond towards Manchester, sort of just in the area where I did my last walk really, but just a bit further north. And I'm going to be doing another walk within the very northern part of the Peak District today, and it starts here just beside the A62.
I followed a path running parallel to the A62, which gently climbed above the Standedge cutting.
So I've just crossed over the county boundary from Greater Manchester into West Yorkshire, and that's where most of today's walk will be taking place. But I'm just veering away from the Standedge cutting, which is where the A62 sort of cuts through a bit of the hillside. And it's also, this part of the A62 is where, again, another part of the very northern boundary of the Peak National Park goes. So sort of one side of the A62 technically is the Peak District, and the other side is the South Pennines. So today's walk is very much sort of in the area where the Peak District merges with the South Pennines again.
I had rejoined the Pennine Way, where, at this point, I had views to the north of nearby Redbrook Reservoir. It was one of several reservoirs constructed in the early 1800s to supply water to the Huddersfield Narrow Canal.
Some kind of way marking post. Okay, right, on with the walk. So I'm actually now following another section of the Pennine Way, but I'm heading in the opposite direction this time to the previous walks. So what I'm going to actually be doing is I'm heading back towards where I left the Pennine Way in a fairly recent walk.
I made my way along the flagged path that crossed the bleak moors. In less than half a mile, I was approaching another couple of reservoirs. Like Redbrook, Black Moss Reservoir and the adjacent Swellands Reservoir were built to keep up the water levels in the higher stretches of the Huddersfield Narrow Canal.
Let's just have a look down here then. Bit of a sandy beach here. So this is Black Moss Reservoir. Very peaceful. You can hear the little waves, the little ripples in the water lashing up against the little beach here. And over that side we have a second reservoir, slightly smaller one, but that's Swellands Reservoir.
On the night of the 29th of November 1810, Swellands Dam failed after heavy rainfall and flooded the nearby Colne Valley. Due to the amount of peat washed down off the moorlands by the waters, it became known as the Black Flood, and several people were killed. Beyond the two reservoirs, I continued to follow the Pennine Way as it took me eastwards.
This is Blakeley Clough. Yeah. So the Pennine Way's dropping through it now, and I should be entering another valley in a minute.
Descending into Blakeley Clough, and having crossed a stream, the path continued on the opposite bank. I was now getting views of more reservoirs in the distance.
Wessenden Reservoir. Bit closer to it this time, but I think this is as close as I'm going to get to it today. But if you've been following my recent walks, you'll remember that I did a walk down the Wessenden Valley. I started at Wessenden Head, which is up there, and I did a walk sort of like higher up above the reservoir. I'm going to be following the same valley a bit further down now, but I'm going to be actually in the valley bottom this time, and we'll be a bit closer to some of the other reservoirs that we saw before.
It was a very steep drop into the Wessenden Valley, so I had to tread carefully to avoid slipping. At the bottom, I reached a footbridge crossing Wessenden Brook.
So this is where I leave the Pennine Way now. That climbs up there, and then it goes southwards back up Wessington Valley, and that'll meet up with where I left it before. But now I'm going to continue on this way, head down towards the next two reservoirs.
Walking beside the brook, I approached the next reservoir.
Blakeley Reservoir. And I've seen Blakeley Reservoir before. That was when I did my Wessenden Valley walk recently. But I was up there in the hills looking down on it, so it's nice to get a different perspective of it.
Blakeley Reservoir is part of a descending chain of 4 reservoirs in the Wessenden Valley, the other 3 being Wessenden Head Reservoir, Wessenden Reservoir, and the one I would be passing next. My path emerged onto a broad track, which I followed to continue in the same direction. I was now walking along part of the Kirklees Way as I approached the next reservoir.
And this is Butterley Reservoir. I have visited this place before. I'm not talking about my recent Wessenden Valley walk, where I was walking up in the hills and I had a view of this. I'm talking about a proper visit to it years ago. And if you've been watching my videos for some years, or have been watching my videos over the last 8 years or so, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But I will talk about it in a minute.
Butterley Reservoir is the lowest of the 4 reservoirs in the Wessenden Valley and was completed in 1906. The reservoir is known for its long stepped spillway, a Grade 2 listed stepped overflow channel. Following a minor flood, remedial works were needed to provide a functional safety overflow for the reservoir. The spillway was also designed to be beautiful and to sit in an area popular for recreation.
Crossing over the Butterley spillway now. I'm just about to cross the reservoir dam. Now, when you look on the OS map, this path across the dam is actually another part of the very northern part of the national park boundary. So this side is the Peak District National Park and that side is the South Pennines. I mean, I don't know how you can really sort of just say, oh yeah, one is one and one is the other, because this is where the Peak District and South Pennines merge into one another. But just for the sake of the national park boundary, that's how it is. So I came to Buttery Reservoir for the first time back in 2015, so over 8 years ago. And on that particular occasion, I was filming a walk then. And the walk was all around this town over here. That's Marsden. Great town, Marsden. Nice to be back. Although I'm not going into the town itself today, I'm just sort of staying on the outskirts for a bit. This part of the town is called Netherley. So I'm just going to go around part of Netherley and carry on with my walk, and I'll stop somewhere in Adbysani. Flipping out, that's a shed load of steps. Yeah. I can see another flight of steps going up the other side of the valley. Well, thankfully I'm not going that way. I'm going this way. So, no steps for me to climb, thankfully.
My path led to Mount Road, over which I crossed to reach a narrow walled path climbing upwards.
I can remember this path on my walk back in 2015. Isn't that a lovely view over the town? Fantastic. Okay, well I'm now going to move away from Marsden. I'm going to go up this way.
Continuing upwards, my path climbed to enter more open country, giving me great views over Marsden and Butterley Reservoir.
That's a nice little pond. Look around here, this is the remains of some old quarries. Obviously long since disused because there's more greenery that's grown over it now, so I enjoyed my sandwich just now anyway. It was a chicken club sandwich that I bought from Tesco's. I stopped at Tesco in Staley Bridge on the way up today. Yeah, I couldn't be asked to make a sandwich at home before I came out. It's re-energised me anyway for the climb that I've got ahead of me. I can see a couple of people on top of the hill that I'm just about to climb. So yeah, I'm going up there. That's Pule Hill. Summit of Pule Hill then, wonderful. Not been on top of here before. I think this is the trig point. I don't think there is actually a proper trig point as such, so this is it. So let's just have a look at the views I've got then. So over there, that's Redbrook Reservoir, next to the A62, and you can see Standedge cutting just beyond it, which is near where I started my walk this morning. Over there, you can just see Black Moss Reservoir. Just in the distance, you can see the Wessenden Valley. Can't quite see Marsden behind me. But that way, we're looking deeper into the South Pennines, so that's more unfamiliar to me. But I'd like to explore more of the South Pennines at some point. I've only really sort of touched it briefly before now, so I would like to explore it more when I can. Okay, I'm going to walk down that way anyway.
Walking northwards for about a third of a mile, I followed a path along the west-facing edge of Pule Hill.
So that's Pule Hill. Very windy. Okay, we'll make our way back down towards the A62 now. Well, I wonder what this is. One of several I've seen dotted across the hills here. It's an air shaft, of course, because right below where I'm standing now are the Standedge tunnels. Yeah, one end of the Standedge tunnels is at Diggle, which is just a little bit below where I parked my car this morning on the other side of the Standedge cutting. And the other end of the tunnels is at Tunnel End at Marsden, and I've been there before. So, yeah, good stuff. Just a short walk beside the A62 then, not far. It's just a little walk back to my car. I think this building to my left, that used to be a pub or a hotel. Been closed for a few years now, I think, but I seem to remember it being open as a hotel when I've driven up the A62 before now. I think it was called, was it Carriage House Hotel or something? Yeah. And that was the Great Western. That was another pub or hotel. Still got the sign on it, I see though. this is Redbrook Reservoir. Lovely. Seen quite a few reservoirs on today's walk again. Well, I'm nearly back where I started now. I'm just approaching Standedge cutting, and it's just the other side of there where I parked my car this morning. So it's been another lovely walk, a wonderful walk in the north of the Peak District again, and a little bit more of the South Pennines, so really nice.